that are some of my favorite and that we use with patients and that we're going to talk about tonight. All right. So here's the thing. We're not here tonight or I'm not here tonight to talk to you about anything that I can treat, cure, or diagnose. Anything I say, I really want you to have it come from a educational purpose. And that is my job tonight, is to educate you. That's the only job. But here's what's cool is today we're going to dive into something for me is one of the most exciting things for regenerative health, for things with anti-aging, inflammation, really how to live your best life, no matter what age you're at, and to hopefully age gracefully, and maybe be 80, 90 years old and still be able to go out and play pickleball if you want and get on the floor with your grandkids or climb mountains and travel and do all the things that we work our butts off our whole life. Somebody thinks they're trying to call me. um and the point is starting early. If early is in your 30s, or for some of us we're in our 50s, I'm going to be 60 in a couple months. um I I do not want to be old when I'm considered old. Today somebody thought I was 48 years old and I just about got up and gave her a big old kiss on the lips. So it's truly a compliment when somebody thinks you're like 11 years younger than you are. Or that's pretty cool. We're going to talk about some of the things that I'm personally using and that we're using in our practice to help people. All right, so I'm going to just double check this really quick here, make sure we're good. I'm not seeing anybody coming in. And if so, I feel bad. Let me get rid of all my stuff here. All right, so I don't see anything Zoom wise. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. Hey, Andrea. Okay. I'm gonna attempt this. We're gonna go to full screen here. Admit. Um, Let me go to full screen. I'm usually much more organized than this. Okay, good. I can see. All right. So let's dive into what are peptides. So here's what I want you to know. Many of us have been using peptides forever. I don't know about you, but I think most of us on this call probably at one time, probably 6, 7 years ago, bought that big blue jug of, our collagen peptides from Amazon. And who knew? Collagen peptides. We just thought it was collagen, but it's actually a peptide. So we have these food grade peptides that we're consuming already. We're putting in our coffee, we're, putting it in our smoothies, we're doing all these things, and, we're getting the benefits of that. There's supplement forms of peptides. These are targeted. These are often a little bit more challenging for absorption. And the biggest reason for that is the fact that it has to go through the gut. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I think I'm even being conservative, but I would say about 80% of our population has some sort of gut dysfunction, which means you're not, absorbing your nutrients right, your gut's kind of a mess. Like you've got some problems in that area. So just think about if we're bringing in nutrients through the mouth into the digestive system and into the gut, there's a really likelihood that a lot of that expense that you're spending may not actually be getting utilized. And so peptides are so beneficial, but only if they're getting to where they need to go. And then there's the injectable forms of peptides. Now, and there's sublingual, and those are more considered supplements too. But then the injectable peptides, these are more therapeutic. They're more bioavailable. They're definitely faster acting. Now, what are specifically peptides? Peptides are just short chain amino acids, plain and simple. But what does that mean? So think about amino acids, they form peptides. And then these peptides actually they build our proteins. So proteins are too large to get in where they need to go. So these peptides are specifically broken down to they're messengers. So they're broken down to get to where they need to go in the body. So think of them as biological messengers in the body. Many of them are going to be related to that signaling effect for, regenerative, repairing, growth. They're going to boost our natural hormone production. They're going to improve that cellular function and the communication. And we're going to talk about probably the most popular peptides at first. We're going to talk about those GLPs and GIPs. We're going to put some things to rest here with those. And we're going to talk about how these peptides can even support fat loss. How about skin, the integrity of the skin, the glow of the skin, how your skin heals from, the sun damage, or if you've had, a bad sunburn, metabolism. How about just your general energy, your recovery, your ability to recover, mood, brain health, all of that. So, in essence, peptides See, peptides are essentially the tiny proteins. They're short string amino acids. They're the ones that tell your body to actually do something. And it can be everything from, healing and repair, tightening the skin, brain function, and everything in between. And think about it as your body's natural kind of that instruction manual telling your body what to do. Proteins are so important. So if protein is something that you maybe don't even consume that much of, you're going to learn about a lot about peptides, because we have to we consume protein that breaks down into these peptides, but our body actually produces them naturally as well. Anyway, we hope they do if your body's working optimally. Okay, so next, maybe. Okay. Oop. This is a busy one, so you may want to take a picture of this. I'm going to kind of go through it pretty fast because there's a lot here, but two of my favorite, and the tirzepatide is probably my favorite out of the two, but we've all heard of, Ozempic, we've heard of Mounjaro, we've heard of all these so-called weight loss, magic weight loss injections that you can get. You can't turn on the TV and not see them. And, back in the early days, about 3 years ago, it was one of those things where it was like, it felt like people, it was just cheating. It's like, people thought it was a hall pass. Like, I did not know enough about these, and I made some pretty poor judgments about them. And I wish I could go back, say 2.5 years, because my tune would be very different if I could only have some of the knowledge I have now, half of the knowledge I have now, and could go back. I would so do things differently. And there's so many patients that I would have considered key candidates for this. And these aren't obese people. These are people who have struggled so hard. They're working out 4 or 5 times a day in the gym. They're eating, I mean, they eat better than I do. Like, they're so perfect with their diet, and they don't drink alcohol, and they're really trying to live their best life, and yet they can't get the results that they want. And these actually are the people that this is perfect for. Yes, can it help obesity? Yes, can it help diabetes? Of course. And these are, they could be miracles for these people if it's done right. And for some, they kind of think of it as a hall pass. And tonight, I don't want you to think that I am saying everybody and anybody should be on this, and you don't have to change your diet, you don't have to do anything. It just is magic, weight just falls off, because that is not the case. And these are not for everybody. Please understand, they're for a lot of people, and they're in the dosing is really the essential thing with these. And a lot of people are overdosing with these. They're getting too high of dosing. They're maybe not even getting, they're doing too low of a dose to get the results that they want, or they're just not working with, maybe they're, I don't know where they're buying them from, but I've heard some scary stories. I have a couple patients who have told me things that I just am like, what were you thinking? That pretty scary to buy stuff the way they were buying stuff so they could get it. But let's dive into what these are, and then you can do your own research and you can make an executive decision for yourself if this is something you want to pursue and go more down. But I think it's really important to have these touch points, because if you haven't dove into them, you're probably like I was. And I know Marina and I have talked about this, that it's like we were like naysayers with this. It was like people are going blind, and they're got gut issues, and they got Ozempic face and all of these things. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not the peptide. Okay, so what is a GLP-1, aka semaglutide, and let's just say Ozempic, just for sake of argument. So this is going to mimic it mimics glucagon. It's a peptide, and it's a hormone that's released from the gut, and we naturally have this response when we eat food. It signals to the brain and the pancreas to regulate the your appetite, tell you when, you're starting to, your leptin response, are you getting full, and also that insulin response. And the benefits, and most of this I'm talking about is going to be at more of a weight loss dosing. I'm going to get into microdosing on the next slide, but the main benefits here are going to be it helps reduce that appetite, really that food noise that so many people have. They're bored, they're stressed, they're emotional eaters, and you really want to turn some of that down a little bit. And there's not a lot of ways to do that, and this does work. And it also creates that satiety where you actually are feeling satisfied, and you don't have to have this, bowl of ice cream or a cookie after dinner. You actually feel satisfied while you're eating a normal, healthy meal. It does slow down that gastric emptying, but that actually kind of triggered something for me where I was really concerned because I was like, is that a good thing? Well, it's not like it's going to sit there forever. It just slows it down. So you do feel full longer, which is really great if you're a night eater. That's really helped me. It improves your insulin sensitivity and lowers your blood sugar very fast, actually. Supports sustainable fat loss, especially that visceral fat. It may improve cardiovascular markers. I am telling you, it will improve cardiovascular markers. It shows to reduce inflammation and your CRP levels very fast. Like literally, they have studies where within days, it can drop. There's been studies where they've shown where somebody had like a CRP of in the 30s, which you don't want it over 3. And within a couple days after taking their first dose of a GLP, it can drop down to like 3. Like that's insane. That is absolutely insane. So just for the inflammatory response, it is magic for so many people because a lot of people's weight issues are due to so much inflammation in the body and the inability to kind of correct that inflammation response. It actually is one of the top, it's probably, I would say it might even be the top anti-inflammatory, I'll say medication. Um, I wrote down something. Um, it actually, a lot of like natural health professionals, they do LDN. If you don't know what that is, that's low dose naltrexone. That's what a lot of practitioners will prescribe to their patients. I've always kind of played around with that because some people don't do well with it at all. I don't really like it. I've used it. I don't use it anymore. They're saying this is like 1,000 times better than LDN. Like that is insane. So just the inflammatory benefits alone can be super beneficial for this. If it's a even if it's a weight loss dosing or a microdosing. The pathways that it's activated is that GLP receptor. We have them all through our body. We have them in our brain. We have them in our gut. We have them in our pancreas. It enhances that glucose-dependent insulin secretion. It suppresses glucagon release, so it's going to lower that blood pressure spike. And again, we talked about, how it activates being more satiated in the hypothalamus. Yeah, there are some side effects for some people. I have zero side effects. Um, some people who are very, very sensitive in even a low dose could have some nausea. They might feel bloated. I've only had like one person on semaglutide tell me that they felt bloated while they're on this, and we just switched them over to tirzepatide, and it pretty much took care of that. Same thing with nausea. But honestly, the nausea for most people, if they get it, it's like a day. It's really not that bad, and it's really not nothing that they can't live with because it's pretty short-lived. And a lot of that can be totally taken care of. The way we dose is very different. So if you work with a practitioner, you're going to want to make sure that, you're having communications. Don't just buy something where you have no contact with anybody. But another thing is some people will think maybe fatigue is kind of coming on with this, or maybe too much of reduction of appetite. So they might find themselves like just really unable to eat. Both of these things are usually linked to the dose for that person is just too high. And what's really rare is gallbladder issues, pancreatitis. Those are things that were probably already going on. Let's be real. Like this is not going to cause that if you're doing safe dosing. Hair thinning, that's usually with rapid weight loss. Like they just went fast and furious. Dosing may be too high for them, and they just lost weight too fast, or they're under eating and they're not getting the nutrients they need. Both of those things can, and usually if they're losing that much weight really fast, they're probably not eating, and they're probably thinking, oh well, I didn't eat today, so I think I'll just have a bowl of ice cream, because they're not that hungry. And some people think it's a free hall pass to just do whatever, whatever. And I just had a woman in today who told me she went and talked to her doctor about this, and they literally gave her nothing on how to do this. No nutritional coaching, no nothing, 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 and just basically gave her prescription. And so she stopped because she didn't do well on it, and now she's kind of coming back because somebody referred her to us. And uh, you want to make sure you got your diet checked in if you're going to do these. All right, so what is the difference now between a GLP, it's one pathway, versus a GLP-1 and a GIP. So this is a dual agonist. So it has the GLP-1. So you're going to have all of the things that we just talked about. And then you're on top of that, you're also going to have another pathway, the GIP. This is a insulin tropic polypeptide. So this is another pathway. So GIP it's another gut hormone that improves that insulin response and energy utilization. The benefits of the GLP-1 are still here, but this gives you just a little bit more flexibility. Maureen, you can shake your head or thumbs up, but I think it's like 15 to 22% better fat loss. We're not talking weight loss with this now. We're talking fat loss with the tirzepatide over a semaglutide. So you get a little bit better metabolic flexibility and that fat loss response. It's a little bit faster. Often you're going to see better preservation of muscle. You're gonna look at lab markers, and this one really helps that reduce the fatty liver markers and support the lipid metabolism. You got to make sure you're eating healthy fats too. High carbs actually are the worst thing for your cardiovascular health, not fats, unless you're eating deep fried, garbage food, and you're eating a lot of seed oils and, a lot of high carbohydrates and sugar. That's the worst thing you could do for your cardiovascular health. So if you've got high anything in that department or too low, you are going to want to look at your diet, make sure you're getting plenty of protein and healthy fats. And the other thing I will say about, just because I'm touching on it with your lipid markers, is cholesterol. Cholesterol, this is a little bonus here, guys. So write it down when you go to the doctor, because if you have your cholesterol levels at 190 or 200, your doctor's going to, if you're over 50, your doctor's going to trip over himself trying to get his prescription pad to write you a prescription for a statin. Just so you know, your total cholesterol number, that's your precursor to all your sex binding, your hormones. That means your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone, your pregnenolone, your cortisol. And your cortisol, if you don't have enough cholesterol, your cortisol, that could be part of the problem. So we really I like to see our total cholesterol, I would say between 200 and if it's 240, I'm like, good for you. What's your diet like? Is there some areas that we could tweak a little, or are you eating really well? And a lot of people who eat really well, their cholesterol markers are usually 210 to 220. Mine's never under 210. And I mean, I kind of breeze through a little emotional stress probably during that time, but I kind of breezed through a lot of my menopause for the last 5 years. I'm through it now, but kind of breeze through it. Anyway, so let's go back to the GLPs. It's going to support a higher energy output and that thermogenesis. It's going to enhance the effects of that reward center in the brain. So one of the misconceptions out there is that these GLPs can cause depression and make you go batshit crazy. That really is not true. Here's the thing. If you're on a super high dose, it definitely could shut down all your dopamine responses where you're kind of just existing. So dosing is so important, but people who are correctly dosed, they actually have more energy. They feel better. It can change everything about how the brain works and your mood and your triggers. It really is quite amazing, especially if you have the food triggers. If you are a boredom eater, if you are an emotional eater, if your life is stressed and the only satisfaction you feel you get in the happiness is through indulging in ice cream and cookies and pasta and pizza and all of that, this really helps damper that. And actually kind of it really does make you feel better. I mean, when we get into the microdosing, that is incredible for what the benefits that microdosing can do for people who don't necessarily need to lose weight, but want to have the brain function. All right, so the pathways here, like I said, we talked about it before. It's that activation, as we mentioned above, with the GLP, also the GIP receptors. Now in the adipose tissue, so you have the visceral fat, that deeper fat, that really really unhealthy fat. Now you have that adipose tissue, and pancreas and CNS. Those receptors are being activated. It helps the body use calories more efficiently, rather than using them to be stored. Here's some side effects. It's kind of the same thing. Uh, really, I mean, I don't know if I've had anybody who really gets a headache, and it's usually within the first week or maybe the second week, and it's maybe that day, but it's a mild low grade headache. Um, a couple Tylenol, not that I'm pushing Tylenol, but if you don't want to have a headache, it'll take care of it. And basically the other things are pretty much the same. And with both of these, we always want to make sure, if you decide to do these, you want to make sure you're watching your protein, because you want to make sure you get enough protein and that you're doing weight bearing exercises too, to even help more, preserve that muscle. Okay. It's weird. I don't know how to get it to go. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you can take a picture of this if you want. I'm not going to read through all of this. This is just kind of a breakdown between the two. So you can see, the left side's going to be your semaglutide versus the tirzepatide. And it's just the pathway, the fat loss, insulin, muscle cravings, and the use. The one at the bottom, the use case, this is where when we look at semaglutide, it's going to be more of like a weight loss and more of an appetite reset. But when we get more into tirzepatide, we see more of that fat loss. The body tends to take a little bit more shape and more of a metabolic reset. But honestly, depending on your budget, because the prices are different, depending on your budget, don't don't think, oh, if I can't do tirzepatide, I wouldn't do anything. Don't think like that. At least get started on semaglutide if you can't do the tirzepatide. Okay, so let's support, hoping people can, let's talk about how the microdosing now can support the body. Here's what I will tell you. And I'm not gonna throw out names or anybody, but I will throw my husband kind of out there because I- this is a guy that I have been worried for him with a couple things. And I started him on microdosing of semaglutide and dramatically can see a change in his mood. I know there's people on this call who definitely will say this has been a life changer for their family. And we're talking microdosing. We're not talking substantial dosing. But sometimes even just a little bit of this peptide of semaglutide, really for mood and brain health, semaglutide is really good enough. You don't need to go to the tirzepatide. If you have maybe some brain concerns and some of these things that are on the slide, if you have some of these concerns and you have weight loss, you could start even out with microdosing and then move up a little bit. So you can always kind of graduate up to that. Think of this is a journey. I know we hear a lot about fast weight loss. People lost 40 pounds in like 3 months. Well, first of all, that's not healthy. Second of all, um, their body can't their liver has a hard time responding to that. Their skin has a hard time responding to that. Everything kind of can be thrown into chaos with that kind of rapid weight loss. So even if money's an issue, or if you have a combination of really some substantial, maybe some brain stuff that you want to work on, maybe you've had PTSD or you've had a brain injury, maybe you have some stomach issues, maybe you are worried about your heart, these would definitely be something to start out in a microdose if you want it, just to kind of test the waters, but do not expect to have some sort of magic weight loss. I will say we do have some people have started out on both semaglutide and tirzepatide, different people on different ones. And even in the low dosing, it is like their body transformed in 3 to 4 months. Like it was, sometimes I'm just blown away. And then I have some people that have done it and, they've lost 5 pounds, but there's so many other things now that have kind of corrected themselves, because just because the scale doesn't cooperate, or just because, you don't like what you see in the mirror, you're not where you want to be after 3 or 4 months. Sometimes the body has to do a lot of self-correcting first, and it's really got to deal with the inflammation in the body, in the brain, in the stomach, in the joints. Like it has to do that, because if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, your body doesn't care that you want to lose weight. Its job is to take care of that stuff, and it will work day in and day out to do that. So by microdosing, we can see with the brain, it's neuroprotective. That's huge. If you go back 20, 30 years, and this is where Maureen and I kind of said, hey, we need to we need to rethink this GLP peptide stuff, because Maureen started doing some research and she was sending me stuff, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's get back into this. And this is great research. And we started seeing that it even had the potential not to slow down Alzheimer's, but maybe even cure it. So that and Parkinson's. And for me, that's a big deal. If anyone has ever you've watched somebody live their years with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, that is not that is not fun to watch. So um, a low dosing can really help people who are on that path. It can really, I'm not kidding, really help PTSD, anxiety, any kind of, trauma, head trauma, psychological trauma. And it's because of that dopamine regulation. This was actually brought out when it first came to be. They were using it for addiction. And I will tell you, my husband, for you who know him on this call, I know there's a lot of people who do, he likes to have a cocktail or two. And since he's been doing this, I will say he has probably lessened his alcohol consumption by at least 80%. Like he'll make a drink on a Friday night and he'll basically dump it out. So, that speaks a lot because he would never have alcohol abuse in our house. So that's a really good thing if you have somebody you're concerned about, and they're willing, this might be something to try. With stomach, yes, this is a big deal. We have a lot of people with compromised, guts and stomach, and so this can actually help minimize even in microdosing, help that minimize that food noise, especially if you're someone who eats because of boredom or a lot of stress or emotional stuff going on in your life. It even in microdosing, it can help you feel full. I'm on microdosing now, and it does. I get full faster and I stay full longer. And I don't restrict myself. If I want something, I have it. But honestly, I don't even really, if something's there, now chips and salsa, that is always going to be my thing. But even that, I'm kind of like, I don't even know if they taste as good to me anymore. With energy, it can actually help stabilize your mood. It can create, the crash, that fatigue when you crash diet, because eat less, exercise more. That's how we've been told that we need to do this, and that is no longer, that is not the new way to get your body the way you want it to be. So think about more steady fuel, because a lot of times our bodies get tired because it's our brain that's tired. I mean, what do we do all day? Mostly sit. I know there's some people have very physical jobs, but for most of us, we don't. And then we're exhausted. Well, why are we exhausted? It's because our brain is tired, and our brain is tired because it doesn't have all the support it needs. So this can help kind of feed that pathway to the brain. Muscle, a lot of people are worried about these. Oh, I'm going to lose muscle. Well, here's the thing: your fat and your muscle are intertwined. Look at a marbled steak, right? So fat and muscle are intertwined. So if you need to lose weight, you're probably going to lose a little muscle. you're not going to lose a lot. And most people who say they lose a lot of muscle, who have been maybe bigger, here's the thing, they probably didn't have a lot of muscle to start out with anyway, but now their body is shrinking and sagging, and they really didn't have a lot of muscle in the first place. So heavy lifting can help with that, but also, you don't need to do so much when you're trying to lose weight, but definitely on a microdose, a lot of people actually will gain muscle rather than lose muscle. Heart metabolism. So I just saw this that in the UK, they are using this for prevention of heart disease. Is that not crazy? Um, by using a GLP, either one of these, you actually can increase your um, neuroprotective ability to prevent by 20 to 30% to prevent heart attacks and heart disease. Like, hello, the number one killer for women and men, but I mean, think about that. And it's got all these other benefits. So it can improve your blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, all of that good stuff. So, anyway, that's pretty much it for the GLPs. I'm going to dive into some of my other favorite ones. So I have been getting a lot of compliments on my skin lately. I have been using this peptide. It is GHKCU, and it's a copper peptide. And this is just a couple bullet points that I'm going to dive into a little bit more on the next slide. This boosts collagen and elastin production for firmer skin. Like, it does. Reduces wrinkles, sun damage. I actually want to start using it on one arm. I hate to um, we have a treatment in our office, so I want to use it, and I'm going to take this peptide, and after I do the treatment, I want to put it on my skin, and I want to see what happens to some of my sun damage. So I'll report back to you on that. But I have a lot of skin damage. I grew up in the day where we did sunning in the hair, baby oil and iodine, and we laid on silver mats on blacktop and had tanning competitions. So my skin owes me nothing, and I regret doing all that, but I had fun doing it, so it is what it is. The other thing this peptide can do is stimulate hair regrowth and improve the scalp circulation. And I've only been on this peptide for 3 weeks now, and I will tell you, I feel like my hair feels thicker. My ponytail seemed like it was getting smaller, even though I have a lot of hair. It felt like my ponytail was getting thinner. I was noticing I definitely had more hair falling out when I washed my hair. And lately, just I would say in the last week, I'm noticing that, and I brush my hair like, I know y'all are gonna laugh, but I brush my hair like maybe once a week, which isn't necessarily good, but um, I just, y'all know me, I have messy hair. There's no need to comb it. But what I'm noticing is when I brush my hair now, I'm not getting like a hairbrush full of stuff. Like, even though I don't brush my hair hardly ever, that still is kind of a big deal not to have it coming out in my hairbrush. This also, what's great is, because we're dealing with the skin, speeds the wound healing and scars and helps fade fast. I have a scar on my leg that's actually from when I was probably in sixth grade, so a very long time ago. But I'm going to be 60 here pretty soon, so yeah, like 50 some years ago. And I can hardly see it anymore. Like I I I was shocked. Like I looked and I gotta look again because I don't know if it was lighting, but I was like, dang, my scar's like almost gone. And that scar is old. Um, it enhances the angiogenesis to support that tissue oxygenation. My lips are oxygenation. I better get a drink of water here. Oxygenation. Thank you. Offers protective benefits for the brain and nerve repair. It reduces skin and joint inflammation at a cellular level and can be used topically, or it can be done through injection. Now, the topical part, I have a prescription skincare that is topical that I apply almost every night. Some nights I don't because I forget, but I've been using that for about 6 weeks, and then I started the peptide on top of it. So I love that a lot. And all right. Let's talk about kind of the other extra benefits for this. So again, anti-aging, this is a big one for that. This stimulates the collagen and elastin. Whoopsie. Well, I hope we're still good. Zoom's still going good. My people have disappeared. Improves firmness and tone and elasticity. Oh, good. Okay, cool. And speeds at wound healing. We talked about all these mainly on this side. I'm going to go to the other side. You can also take a picture of this if you want. Here's one of the big ones. It suppresses that chronic inflammation, boosts natural antioxidants and those enzymes, SOD and catalase. Those are big, especially for repair. Supports cellular detox and the longevity pathways. Another big one down here is the gene modulation and cellular repair. It influences expressions of over 4,000 genes. That's crazy. Activates that repair, rejuvenation, and that youthful function. So it's really, this is an awesome peptide for people who really want to slow down the aging. For me, I take my GHK 3 times a week, and it's blue. So my slogan here is, men can take their blue pill, women take your blue shot, and maybe your man won't need his blue pill. Sorry, that just came to me one day. But yeah, this is a great peptide. If you do your own like microneedling or skin treatments, or you go and get something done, you can ask them if you could even bring it if you were to get this one. But I'm going to be testing this with some treatments that we have in our office. My big thing for the anti-aging is my son's getting married here in beginning of August, and I don't do Botox. I don't do fillers for a lot of reasons. No judgment if you do, but for me, not going there. I want to do things naturally. And so when I learned about this peptide, I was so excited about it. And it has really lived up to its expectations, considering it has been such a short time that I've used it. And even my husband on the 4th of July was like, wow, like you look young. Like you do look young, and you look younger than you did, 5, 10 years ago. And I'm really not doing that much different, except I've added the peptide and the prescription skincare. Okay. My next one is something called Sermorelin. I actually have this down in my little box downstairs with my peptides that I bought in 2020 or 2021. Um, and let me just take a minute to talk to you about some of the places to get peptides too. So you got to kind of be careful. I bought these because you could not get these anywhere else. You had to go through what they're called research peptides. It can be a little sketchy. I didn't realize how sketchy it could be until I really started digging in. That's probably why I have a basket of them sitting in my pantry that is over $1,000 worth of these powdered peptides. First of all, they can't tell you how to use them. They can't tell you how to dose. They can't tell you how to reconstitute them. Yes, you have to reconstitute them with a solution, and it's a lot. I have a couple friends that are doing this, and you don't have to do that. Like, work with qualified people if you're going to do that, unless you're somebody who really knows what you're doing, or somebody who knows how to do that. All right, so Sermorelin, this is actually your growth hormone stimulator. So I am using this one as well, and together with the GHKCU and the Sermorelin, this is the glow stack. So you can stack your peptides. I actually load them in the same shots on the days I take them. I take my Sermorelin. I take that every day for 5 days, and I take 2 days off. That is what is prescribed for me. So this signals your pituitary to release natural growth hormone. Here's the thing: when you get something that is synthetic that you're taking, what happens is it's just a constant flow of growth hormone. That is not good. What this peptide does is it syncs with your kind of the circadian rhythm, for lack of a better description, with your growth hormone times. So it's like 3 or 4 times a day you get drips of this. Very important. And here you'll find out why. So this helps improve your sleep quality, especially that deeper sleep, right? Aims in your fat burning. This isn't a fat burner, but it helps support the burning of fat, especially, our middle section. Increase lean muscle mass and support bone density. That was actually the reason I would love to work out if I didn't love to research and I didn't have to drive 2 hours a day to go in and out of work. I would love to work out. I just to take the time to do it, it's almost more stress for me. So I really wanted to get on this to help to see if it would help with my lean muscle. And honestly, I think it has. I mean, I'm not going to be like I still got like some stuff going on, but I mean, I also have some muscle and I don't lift a lot. So I am working on that. But in the meantime, I wanted to take this to see if it would help. So it enhances that workout recovery too. I have DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. I am sore for like 3 or 4 days after workout. I will tell you, since doing my NAD strips and now doing combining Sermorelin, between the two of them, I am not sore at all, no matter how heavy I lift or how strenuous my workout is. It supports better skin tone, absolutely. Joint health. I don't have any joint issues, but I know other people that this has helped. And hair, maybe this is part of it since I'm using them together. And it may, I can't say it's done mental clarity for me, but the research shows that it can help with mental clarity. Because I'm taking the other peptides, I'm not quite sure which one because a lot of them kind of overlap a little bit. Mood and motivation. I mean, it's what, 8:30 at night, and I could probably go all night, even though you guys are like, no. This also is considered kind of more of the safer, definitely more safer than doing that synthetic human growth hormone. Let's utilize your own. All right, so here's just some key points because we're getting long here. You can take a picture of this, but basically, I love this to help with, bone and muscle and tissue health. That was my reason for using this, but it has all these other benefits that go with it as well. And honestly, if you're under like 35, this isn't something to really consider unless you are struggling in some of these areas. All right, NAD, I love NAD. NAD plus boosting, anything that can help boost that, which is usually an NMN, but then there are some precursors that you really want to make sure that you're getting. So this has changed my husband's life. I'm not going to go into his story, but he had long haul COVID neuropathy for 2.5 years. We spent, probably close to 20,000 or more dollars to get it fixed. And NAD plus that we used, like, fat. I won't even tell you how, but it was fast. Gave him his life back. So very grateful for the research and the types and the forms of NAD boosting supplements that we can have access to. So what just basic for people who don't know, it's essential for that ATP. That's your energy production in every single cell in your eyes, in your liver, in your skin, in everywhere, your heart. It supports the mitochondrial health and the metabolic function. NAD is very important in every aspect, but especially our metabolic health. It does promote DNA repair. Um, that's incredible and very necessary. We have a lot of things that damage our DNA. It has healthy gene expression and helps with detox. It improves focus, mental clarity, and mood. Absolutely 100%. It reduces fatigue. Usually, especially supplements, not so much, and I'll talk about that, but there are some things that literally 20 minutes after it's in the body, your brain lights up and you don't feel fatigued. So there are definitely benefits when it comes to people who have energy issues. Helps reverse the cellular aging and optimize metabolism. It kind of the delivery option. So IVs, super expensive. You're going to spend $5,000 to $7,000 a month on them. And it's going to take you 2 to 4 hours for your drip. It has to be delivered very slow. It's very expensive. Supplements go through the gut, and unless you're taking a crap ton of the precursors and the things that you need, you are going to waste your money. If you feel you have a supplement of NAD that, or, well, it's not going to be NAD, but it's NMN probably. If you feel it works for you, great. But I'm telling you, until you try one of these other delivery systems, you'll never take another supplement again. There's nasal sprays, and the nasal sprays are really great too, just for a direct shot up to the brain. And then I have these oral strips that just dissolve. It's got all the precursors, everything in it. That's my favorite. I might try with my husband. He still has some numbness from that long COVID neuropathy, with his toes. And I might just do the strips and the injection together to see what that does. Cause man, now we got all the precursors and we got the direct hit, right? So, together, I think they could be really beneficial. This is great for, if you've got some post illness recovery, maybe you had like a flu or something. And really, you want to make sure you combine it with proper nutrients to make sure it is utilized at its best. So I love this little picture because it's like we all want to be this little guy. We all want to feel great and we want to be healthy and we want to reverse aging. One of the key things with the NAD is there are it you want to make sure you have the right nutrients so that you can get rid of the zombie cells. Because if you don't get rid of the zombie cells are cells that aren't dead, but they're really not healthy and alive. So we want to tear down those zombie cells and get them out of the body. And NAD, along with some other core nutrients, can help do that. So I love NAD. It's a game changer for my family. And if you have just a lot of things maybe at the cellular level, like you have a lot of things going on, NAD could be a really good place to start. Glutathione injections, oh boy, like, gut issues. Um, if you've got a lot of gut issues, a lot of brain issues, a lot of inflammation, you've had a lot of exposures, glutathione might be something to start with, or at least to stack with. It is the master antioxidant, and we consider it like the detox hero. Detoxing is very important, but adding in just through a detox, adding some glutathione can be very beneficial, and an injection is really a direct hit. So this can really help neutralize people. If you just had like Lyme disease or a lot of exposures to toxins, mold, stuff like that, it's critical for the liver detox pathways. So those phase 1 and 2 supports immune function. It can help prevent chronic illness. As I mentioned with mold, it can help clear mold and heavy metals and environmental toxins out of the body. Maybe take with a good binder. If you need a good detox, we've got some recommendations. Improves, even skin brightness, because a lot of times it just reduces that inflammation. So if you have a lot of like cirrhosis or rosacea or stuff like that, this might be something to look at. Let's see. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. This just kind of breaks it down a little bit more so you can kind of see um, some of the main responses. So you can take a snapshot of this if you want. But the injections are just rapid. They're bioavailable compared to oral forms. Again, it's got to go through the gut. Now, if you need work on the gut, an oral form could be good to take. But if you've got a lot of things systemically through the body, you might want to combine an oral form with an injection form. It really helps, with our immune system and, those detox pathways. So. Whoops. All right, my last peptide is this one. I have 4 bottles of this sitting down in my basket that I wasted money on. I should look to see if there's an expiration date. The Wolverine stack. So Wolverine, if you've seen the movie, it's rapid, repair and rejuvenation. And that's why they call it this. It's a combination of the BPC 157 and the TB 500. Now, separately, they can do good things, but together, like when you get into the fitness world and bodybuilders and athletes, this is the peptide that they'll be talking about. This is the one that they'll say is a non-negotiable. It rapidly repairs connective tissue, that's ligaments, tendons, the fascia, reduces chronic inflammation in the joints and soft tissue. So if you've got a lot of achy joints, I would say this over glutathione. Glutathione would be really good more for like maybe some gut stuff, but honestly, this would be where I would start if you had a lot of pain. I have my husband on that comes in a pill form too. I have him on a pill form because I wanted it to go through. He's got to heal some stuff in the esophagus and down in the upper intestinal region. So I have him doing the pill. I am going to be the compounding pharmacy we use was not prescribing in Wisconsin at the time either. So I was going to get them both, but now they are. So I'm going to be ordering the injections for him too, so he can actually do them both. But even on the pill, he's been on it 3 weeks now. And he has said to me twice just in the last probably 7 days, today, I wish I could wake up and feel this great every day. It's been a while since I've heard that out of my husband. So he said it's something is definitely working with this. It does help promote that gut lining repair. So yes, glutathione is really good for the gut, but this might be really even better if you're dealing with some of these things. Encourages that nerve repair and reduces the neuropathic pain. Accelerates post-op injury. So if you going in for a surgery or maybe you had a surgery that you feel like you haven't really even healed from, this might be something to start on. If you have a chronic injury that you kind of keep re-injuring or you keep like it feels better and then all of a sudden it feels bad again, this might be where you want to start. So TBP 500 works on the muscle fibers where BPC 157 really helps with the gut and the tendon repair. They really together, it is amazing. So here's just a quick snapshot of all it can do if you want to take a picture because we're getting near the end of this. Anything on here that I want to, yeah, I would just say if you're really concerned about, like, I wish I would have thought, I wish I would have known I had it down in my basement. I probably would have tried to figure out how to reconstitute it and give it to my husband because he had rotator cuff surgery, last June. And this is also why we're doing this too, to help. He said his shoulder has definitely been feeling better because it really hadn't fully it hasn't healed great. So he was kind of concerned about that. So he's noticing now that he still has some mobility that he has to work on, but the pain, no longer has the pain. And so just as I'm talking about this too, I'm thinking this has been a big part of that. All right, so there's some future stuff coming up that I really want to talk about, but obviously you can see there's a lot to go through just with what I did talk about. But some things I want to talk about are some things coming up that there's a peptide out there that actually mimics the effects of exercise. And this can actually help basically at the cellular level, exercise our body and boost that mitochondrial energy and increase endurance. Sign me up. Like, okay, so think about the people who either can't work out, um, or are handicapped, or they had surgery and they can't do anything. Like my husband lost so much muscle mass last year because of his shoulder injury. And I just think, oh my gosh, if I would have had this for him. So this is coming out. I can't wait. We're hoping to get more about this peptide here in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. Fingers crossed, definitely by the end of the year. But there's a lot of fun things coming out that are very regenerative. Sexual wellness, there are things right now that are available. I didn't want to get into that because we could do a whole section on that alone. There's fast acting, a pill that boom, you take it in like an hour, you're like feeling a little frisky. There's injections that can really help with men and women who have maybe some blood flow circulatory issues. And then, of course, hormone testing and stuff. But we're going to also be looking at sub-Q testosterone rather than those horse needles that are like as thick as a pen that you gotta jab into yourself. So men, that's exciting for them. So yeah, let's move on here. All right, so when you're ready, I guess the three things you should be asking yourself are, what are my three goals? What are three things I really want to focus on? And you can have a lot more, but don't have one. If weight loss is your only thing, I mean, that's obvious. It's going to be one of the GLPs, but if you have weight to lose, there's probably something else. Is it that you have a lot of food noise? Is it that you have digestive issues? Is it that you have achy joints? Because a lot of times the GLPs can take care of a lot of those things early on, and then all of a sudden, as you kind of get through, you start to realize it's like, okay, so now I want to work on this, and maybe there's a peptide that can, once you get weight under control, you can maybe go to. But a lot of these peptides, most of them can be stacked together. They don't contradict each other. And so don't think, oh, I can only do one. I mean, your budget might only want you doing one. These aren't cheap. I mean, they're not $1,000, but I mean, a lot of them are, 150, 200, and some are even more, depending on how many days you have to take them in a week and in a month, or what peptides they are. But they can be a game changer in your health. And you can take all the supplements in the world, and it might not do the job. And it's easy to spend a couple $100 on supplements every month. I mean, I know people that are spending 500, they're going to vitamin shops and spending $300 or $400 a month on supplements that you don't even really know why they're taking them, and they're not getting any results. People are taking medications that aren't giving them any results. So if you're dealing with something, peptides very well could be the answer. It's just which one. That's what you want to do. How to order, you want to make sure you're ordering through, a company, or, you just want to make sure you're getting something from a doctor who knows what they're doing, that can prescribe that, or works with a prescriber. Just make sure you're getting, not buying, black market stuff. There are people doing that, and there's people selling it. Watch out for a lot of the influencers, because who knows what they're selling. They're getting a big kickback. So it can be kind of scary. What state do you live in? And let me, I want to know how you heard about the webinar too. So here's what I am going to do. Obviously I'm a licensed practitioner. I can't dedicate every day just answering questions for people. Do your research. I've given you a lot of information. Hopefully you've taken some snapshots, and you can go back and look at them. Go do your due diligence. Go on, YouTube, or go on Chat GTP and ask, these are my health concerns, and would this peptide be good for me? And like, ask about it. Do your own research. To call me, I would ask, don't call me to just ask me questions about peptides, because there's lots of information out there. I'm just bringing you some awareness of these today. If you are ready and you want to get started, and I invited you to this call, just message me. You know how to get a hold of me, and we can set up a 15-minute call just to kind of go through. I can hook you up with, I can see if there's a prescriber that will work for you in which state you're at. If it's something we can do, we can talk about what we do. Otherwise, I'll help you find the right place to get them. And if you are somebody that you were invited to this call because of somebody else, I have lots of friends out there that ask me if they could invite people that I don't really know or know well. Um, Go to them and just say, "Hey, can I get Angie's contact?" And then if they'll probably give you my text message, and then just text message me and say, "Hey, Maureen, gave me your contact. I'd love to set up just a 15-minute call to talk about maybe what peptide would be right for me." Um, but be ready, like don't just call me picking my brain for information, because you can get that online. So if you can respect that, I would appreciate it. But I hope this truly brought, kind of enlightened you a little bit on peptides, especially the GLPs. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And unfortunately, because of all that misinformation, a lot of people, they're going to struggle. They're going to be on that struggle bus trying to lose weight. They're going to be on the struggle bus trying to get their brain right, to, be living in guilt because they ate food that they shouldn't have ate. And instead, we don't have to suffer through this. We don't have to work so hard to be healthy. And sometimes just some of these peptides you just only have to use, for a couple months, and it might self-correct itself while you're getting maybe your lifestyle and your habits and your stress under control. So I'm going to end this call, because we are at an hour, and I didn't leave time for questions just because I knew I had a lot of information here. If you have my contact, message me with, what you liked, what you didn't like. I'd love to know what you'd like to know more about. And I'd like to do these once or twice a month. So I'm open to suggestions if you have ideas of things that you would like to know about. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your week and rest of your July, and we will hopefully see you soon.